And inside the forest, there are the sculptures there that she made. And Mama would do the art with meditating, you know, like communication with the deity before doing any form of art. And Mama got her inspiration, you know, from there because she stayed there for a while.
She was invited to come and see or assist us in treating this termite attack. In doing that, she now fell in love with the culture. So she's so powerful and mystic that if she sleeps, revelations of what she is expected to do for this place will come to her. Then she now felt for somebody of her status, there's a need for her to have people to work with. Then she now got in touch with the Oba. Then there and then some interested indigenous that were into art then were introduced to her. So that was why they formed what we call a new sacred art movement. With this new sacred art movement, from instruction from her, that's why we have all these structures.
Shaded by a canopy of trees with a flight of stone leading downwards, the inner grove lies within a natural depression, marking the exact spot where the first palace of the founder of Osogbo was located. The ancient palace with its ornate pillars and elegant designs has remained in its original state for decades, and its sacredness upheld for as long as it stands. A short walk away from the palace will take you to the Osun River, which on a normal day looks just like any other river except for the utter stillness that pervades the atmosphere around it and the occasional carving in the midst of its waters. Otherwise called the Herbs of Osun, because according to its devotees, this calm flowing river transcends ordinary water. Everything about the Osun Grove revolves around this river. It's like the life of this place. You take it away, the entire place becomes lifeless. This is where the history of the grove actually started from. And every year, thousands of devotees of the Osun goddess converge by the bank of this river, where they pray, believing that all of their problems will be solved by the goddess.
If it is just a mere river, why the crowd? If it is just a mere river, why are people taking this water? I'm using this water in context because here we don't have river, we don't have water. Please, we don't have water. Once you are here, you want agbo, apps. People that needed one thing or the other comes here to seek for assistance from Osun goddess. Believing, that's what I said, it's your faith. Believing he or she will do it for them. Whatever is being taken here is apps, is agbo. If you take it with your faith, be you me, you will be healed. It has been proven beyond reasonable doubt.
While the grove is the site of Osun's most sacred shrine, many Yoruba deities are also depicted here with sculptures that are centuries old and shrines where their devotees worship. Despite the sanctity attached to it, managing the grove is not without its own challenges.
There's no lumber that will come into this site that will not pray will sleep off 72 hours. So that before we wake up, we would have cut down all the trees. We do have butchers, and despite the native laws that we do use to operate, because here you are not supposed to hunt. If you are caught, you'll be taken to the enforcement agency through the authority of Osogbo. And because of developmental pressure, as the town grows, you are bound to see people wanting to build closer to the site, thereby giving you problem. You have the challenge, but God is helping us through that native law. That native law, don't cut, don't fish, And aside that, the native law, I will tell you authoritatively, because if all of us goes home, we have night security if they are here. If you eventually decide that you want to catch any fish, you will cook it from now till that kid don't come, it will not done. So you will definitely put yourself into trouble.
Once sparkling and clear and home to a variety of fish, today the sacred river is murky and brown. It is now under constant threat from pollution from waste disposal and other human activities. Another fascinating thing about the grove is this standalone suspended bridge right at the heart of the forest and just above the Osun River, built some 87 years ago. The bridge has no pillar holding it because they say the Osun goddess forbids it. One of the unique things to see at the grove is this suspension bridge. We understand it was built in 1935, commissioned in 1936, and the reason why the bridge was constructed was to enable people around here move goods now, especially palm products, from one end of the bridge to the other. And up till this day, the bridge is standing. It's one bridge a lot of tourists who come to this area love to see. Despite the gradual fading away of celebrated African culture and tradition, the Osun-Osogbo Sacred Grove is one cultural phenomenon that has not only stood the test of time, but also become a reference point for people from this part of the world. The grove remains more or less pristine, leaving visitors with this sense of peace and a connection to the dwellings of an elevated being and the ancient Yoruba tradition.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Ecosphere. I am Mary Kanu. Pollution is a major problem across cities in the world. You know, some of the world's biggest cities deal with pollution, and it's in fact on the environment and health of residents. Now, Lagos State, the largest city in West Africa and the 21st largest city in the world, is no exception, and the resulting effect is the suffocating mix of air pollution, single-use plastic pollution and solid waste in the city's streets, causing respiratory problems, floodings and other illnesses among the locals. Now, it is estimated that at least 30,000 people die every year in Lagos due to pollution. Now, on this edition of the program, we'll be taking a look at ways to solve the problem of pollution and improper disposal of waste in Lagos State.
Waste-littered streets, open defecation, air pollution and the likes are what residents of the commercial nerve center of Nigeria are faced with on a daily basis. In Lagos, environmental pollution is the order of the day. Residents deal with different forms of pollution in the city's streets, leaving many with respiratory illnesses. Having lived for many years in this area, the Itire-Surulere local government area of Lagos State, some of the residents say they strongly believe the state government does not care about their living conditions.
This area now has been dirty for so years. When I was in small self, I was seeing all this kind of thing, talk less of now that I've already been gotten hold. And still yet, the area is still like this, you understand? And I want government to come and do here so that it will be okay, so that water will not be flowed everywhere. And why? Even last month, self, a kid fell inside this water, this canal self, last month, when there was rainy season then, and we do have power to bring it out.
In 2021,
The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said his administration has spent over 2 billion naira on the rehabilitation of dump sites across the state, while another 1 billion naira is being invested to provide the necessary infrastructure for waste management. If these projects have been carried out, residents are yet to witness the results or see an improvement in waste management.
You see all these diseases coming. Now, we're seeing recurrent cases of Lassa fever. Lagos is not spared. Of course, the rats go there, eat, pick jams, transfer to people, and then the same thing now we're having monkeypox. So in reality, if we deal with the challenges of waste alone, I am sure that our health system will be good. Our health itself will be good. Now, when you now get to the waterways, plastic floating, dead animals floating, dead human being floating, microplastic dropping into the water, fish swallowing them, we eating the fish. It's a scandal. It's honestly a scandal. I think the more we put attention to the challenges of the environment and how waste is handled in this part of the world, the better for us. A mega city, 25 million people, still counting, and we cannot get waste right, waste disposal right. We're not ready.
The drainage system in Lagos is very bad. We've seen cases where vehicles, humans, and other materials worth billions of naira have been lost or damaged due to drainage. This is one of the things that we are decrying in Lagos. Unfortunately, when this drainage, when this flood water make contact with feces that have been deposited as a result of open defecation, these feces make their way into water bodies, open water bodies like wells, where Lagosians get their drinking water from. Lagosians end up consuming water that has been contaminated with human fecal matter, sometimes fecal matter from animal dungs and all other contaminants. They end up being consumed by humans, and of course these humans come down with several waterborne diseases. Unfortunately, we end up having cases of diarrhea, cases of cholera, hepatitis A and E, and many other food and waterborne diseases. I've practically seen cases where people also have their food stuff, their fruits and other things they sell, edible commodities, fall into gutters, fall into flood water, and they still pick it up and sell it. These are the things that we are experiencing in Lagos. This must stop, and for this to stop, we must improve our sewage disposal, we must improve the disposal of waste materials, and we must limit air pollution as much as possible.
Environmental pollution is not the only challenge residents face as a result of improper waste disposal. The arising issue of climate change, a resulting effect of human activities, has upset the balance of nature.
We have household generated waste, from our consumption and every other thing. We have the industrial waste, the ones that comes out from the big country industries. Then we also have the clinical waste, that's the one from hospitals, from clinics, which are very, very sensitive. So the way we handle them, there's a protocol in terms of the way we handle them, their disposal, where we dispose them, how we dispose them, who disposes them. It has its own protocol. Then also we have the other agricultural waste, the ones that comes from animals and others. Now, this waste, how we manage them is very important, because if we do not manage them well, they come back to affect us as humans and all living things that actually live within the environment, both humans and plants, if the waste are not well managed. So obviously, when waste find their ways into places where they shouldn't, like the drains, the drainage lines, of course they block the drainage, and whenever rain comes, of course we have flooding. And in flooding there are different types of flooding. So the one that waste usually creates is the flash flooding. Okay, when the drains are blocked, when waters cannot flow well, so of course the water comes back on the streets and they come back to meet us in our homes, and then we have a flooding which affects people. Our recycling activities is still very poor, because there are a lot of opportunities that comes in if you have a good waste management system. but we are still moving. We are not moving, we are actually still crawling. You know, we have not actually started, okay? So a lot of this plastic waste, they are not well disposed. They are not disposed of properly, and they find their way into the drains. Some even find their way into the waters. That life in waters is not even safe anymore. We have had situations where waste was ashore, and when they open up this waste, they see a lot of plastic waste in there, right? So at the same time, within the community, these plastic waste find themselves in all the drainage. I can tell you, in Lagos State today, anywhere you find yourself, just open up the drains. Just open up the drainage system if it's covered. If it's not covered, it's obvious there, you know. And you see a situation where when rain falls, a particular line of the drainage system, you see that waters are not flowing along that line because it's blocked. Okay, people even have this habit of constructing this metal to block this waste from coming into their own part of the road. And so this water comes onto the road and we have a flooding. So they are a major cost, especially the plastic waste.
Well, we'll take a break here, but when we return, the program will continue. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about resolving the issues of improper disposal of waste in Lagos State.
According to the World Health Organization, making the environment healthier can prevent about 13 million deaths yearly and avoid 13% to 37% of the world's disease burden. Lagos State generates 13,000 tons of waste daily, but not all of the waste ends up at designated dump sites. Some end up in canals, drains, and on the road.
Okay, we collect this waste from the household. When you collect this waste, we put them together. Then the process, we try to separate the waste. Okay, ordinary, that's how it should be. You separate the waste. Okay, that because there are some of the waste that are recyclable, all right? So you separate them, while the other ones that will be going for total disposal will be the ones that will find themselves their way to the dump sites. Okay, so it's a process before it gets to the dump site. Now, the challenge where the government erred in three ways. One, dump sites are located away from the community. And when these dump sites are located, there should be existing legislations that restrict community development to that area. Okay, if a place is cited as a dump site, it's away from the city, and there's restriction in terms of urban development, because there should be some form of distance between the dump site and where habitable areas. Okay, because from that dump site, one of the worst chemicals that depletes the ozone layer, comes out of the dump site, which is the methane, and it is very, very harmful and dangerous. So dump sites are expected to be sited away from the community. Now, in Lagos, we have a situation where dump sites are located or sited away from the community, but there is no restriction that halts urbanization to that located dump site. So, for example, there's a place called Yanoba. The place was located about 25 years ago, and it was far from city. But there was no restriction in terms of urbanization, urban development. Today, there are houses surrounding that dump site. So, health-wise, the people living around that place are not safe. That's one. The Olusosun dump site at Ojota, when it was located, houses were far from that place. It's a place that in those days, because the methane, when the heat from the methane starts coming out, you see smoke coming out. You think they are burning the waste. They are not. It's the methane that is reacting. All right. So you see this is from distance. But today, houses have been built around that place, such that people who are living there, they are not safe. The water system is poisoned. It's not safe. All right. Then the methane that comes out of that emits from that place, it's not safe for the humans living around there. So that's why I said the government have erred in that area in terms of restricting, in terms of putting in place enforcement so that people will not build towards that place. So the government have failed in that area. Two, in terms of management of the dump sites, usually in most countries, these things are kind of like privatized to companies who are genuinely involved in environmental activities, to experts who understands this thing, right? The government cannot do it alone. The government is expected to generate, to bring up, put up legislations. You know, they are supposed to be a kind of, they try to stabilize within the private sector and the public sector, right? But they are not expected to manage the dump sites. Professionals who understands the dangers and the kind of harmful chemicals that comes out of that dump site are supposed to manage the dump site. But here, an agency was created, Loma, to manage that dump site, okay? And those dump sites are not well managed. The third aspect where the government is not performing well in that area is the waste collection in itself. Now, we have in Lagos State, the collectors were registered, okay, fine. There were list of items that they must procure before they can be listed as one of the collectors, you know, like the trucks that the crop for with the waste collection trucks and what have you. Now, a lot of them are using trucks that are dilapidated. Some of them have trucks that are not enough to cover the area that has been allotted to them. Okay, and you discover that the collection is poor. Some of these trucks can't even get to the residence of a lot of the people living in the communities. So people have to converge at a particular point. Now, when they dump the waste there, it takes a while before the collectors, the trucks arrive there to pick up the waste. That's another issue, which is another environmental issue. So the collection in itself is poor. And you see some of these trucks collecting this waste. When they even collect the waste on the road, you see this part of the waste dropping on the road. Okay? And they litter everywhere. So driving to that dump site is another issue. And all these things, they have its, they have their effect, you know, and it has to do with proper waste management system.
In the second quarter of 2022, a global livability index report by the Economist Intelligence Unit ranked Lagos State 171 out of 172 countries in the list of most livable cities in the world, meaning Nigeria's commercial hub and former capital was ranked the world's second least livable urban area and worst city in Africa. But the state government says the continuous attitude of littering by residents results in the deterioration witnessed in the state.
Lagosians are trying also. They come here, they come from their community and come and give us information here. And you go. When you get there, it's true. One big man would have taken up, would have built on the drains. And they were afraid to go and talk to him. Even if they talk to him, they will come and report and we'll go. We'll have task force here that recover setbacks and chase some people away from wetlands. You know what wetland does? If you have heavy flooding like this, they settle there. That's where it's supposed to settle. Then when the rain stops, it will now start moving into the lagoon. You will see grass is there again. But that does not mean that you have to go and build there. It's low. There are areas we have in Lagos here are not supposed to build. You're not supposed to live there. Itarabadia is one of them. Shibiri is one of them. There are places in, you know, Ketu there that you're not supposed to live. Yes, you will see greens, but you won't know that underneath it's water. So you're not supposed to live there. And so many of them, you know, agility, all of them, you're not supposed to live there. I can't trace it here now. We should call the names. Where you're not supposed to go and live. There are wetlands, low-lying areas, below sea level. But because of scarcity and paucity of houses, people still go there to build. They won't build story building and mansions, you know, but shanties. And when it comes, when the flood comes, they will start shouting, "Yeah, government come over, we are dying over." When we get there, say, "You're not supposed to build here." Government duty is to provide a conducive atmosphere for business to thrive, for people to live, to make the city a livable city. That's our duty. If you have a bad road here, they will not call you to come. It's government they will call. We'll go there and check what caused this pothole here. Okay, let's check the drains. Drains is the first place to go. Is it okay? Okay. If it's not okay, get the FR people to come and clean it up, and then get the works, Ministry of Works to come and patch up the road. Finish. But government cannot handle all the roads in Lagos at the same time and provide all the drains at the same time. Gradually, these things will be in place. Gradually, we don't know. So we are responsive and responsible. We care. Government is established to serve the people. You are serving the people, you are not serving yourself. That's what we do.
Well, that's how much we can take on this edition of the program. Many thanks for staying with us. I am Mary Kanu. Bye-bye.
Mon plus grand rêve, c'est devenir un grand chef international. C'est pour ça que je suis là pour me préparer à Imatoch.
This is our schedule for all of the 10 weeks and what you'll be learning. Around week 3, we'll start practicing with resumes and basic interviews, and at that point, you'll start.
Je suis Muriel Durandis, je viens d'Haïti. Je suis rentrée aux États-Unis il n'y a pas longtemps. Lorsque je vivais en Haïti, j'ai été à l'école, ok. Je suis chef, ok, en Haïti, mais comme vous savez, lorsqu'on a un grand rêve, parce que moi, je veux être un master chef.
This is how we learn here at MS Torch. We give you all of the tools so that you can get the practice.
MS Torch provides culinary training and job placement services for refugees, asylees, and survivors of human trafficking. We provide culinary training, and we also help them begin real careers as they adjust to being new members of our community. I founded MS Torch. The idea began to percolate in my head when I was working at a human rights organization in Washington, D.C. and volunteering at a local homeless shelter. And I thought to myself, there's got to be something more that we can be doing with food and using it as a tool of empowerment. And at the same time, I was really interested in the refugee crisis. In particular, the photo of Alan Kurdi, that 3-year-old little boy whose body was found washed up on the shores, spoke to me. And it, to me, was a moment of reckoning. We had to do something.
Je suis vraiment excitée, vraiment contente, parce que j'ai tellement rêvé de devenir à Imatoch. Après 10 semaines de ce programme, j'aimerais bien être graduée et avoir un beau travail, ok, dans un restaurant superbe comme Imatoch.
What I want you to do last is you are going to small dice 8 pieces
8 pieces
of the Serrano chili.
Savannah chili. This is my 9 weeks in Hematouch, and I learned a lot of things, like prep cook, knife skill, espresso skill, line cook, and everything. One chocolate cookie. Anything to drink? Oh, that's it? Okay. Before I was very timid. Very nice people in Hematouch. They train me and they make me very, very confident. Have a nice day. Thank you. Now I could speak English a lot of very good, I can say.
So excited to present to you your diploma, Muriel, on completing 10 weeks of the Emma's Torch Culinary Training Program. So here you go. We are so proud of you and can't wait to see what you do next as you begin your career as a chef.
Thank you. After my graduation, I will be work with my uncle. He got a Haitian restaurant at Manhattan. I will be a line cook chef and make a lot of money.
On the news tonight, Labour Party candidate Alex Oti wins Abia State governorship election, polls 175,467 votes. Nigeria Labour Congress directs workers to protest at CBN offices over naira scarcity. And Atiku asked tribunal to declare him winner of February 25 presidential election. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The Labour Party gubernatorial candidate Alex Oti has been declared winner of the Abia State governorship election. The returning officer for the state and Vice Chancellor Federal University of Technology Futo, Inina Oti, declared him winner 48 hours after the collation of election results was postponed. Oti polled 175,467 votes, beating Oke Ahiwe, Abia PDP governorship candidates, who got a total of 88,529 votes.
Oti Alex Chioma M LP 175467. Opai Hero Male NNPP 2068 valid votes. Njoma Carlo Male NRN 472 valid votes. Ahiwe Okechukwu Ambrose Male PDP 88529 valid votes. That Oti Alex Chioma of Labour Party, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you.
Following the lingering naira scarcity across the country, the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress has directed all workers to protest at all the offices of the Central Bank of Nigeria nationwide starting next week. The NLC President Joe Ajaero gave the directive at an ongoing press briefing at Labour House in Abuja. He said the directive became imperative following the expiration of a one-week ultimatum given to the Apex Bank to make cash available for all Nigerians.
From this week, from Friday, there will be mobilization of all state councils through a NEC meeting. All unions have already been directed to mobilize all their organs and their branches by Wednesday next week. All central bank offices nationwide will be picketed. All central bank from the CBN headquarters will be shut till further notice. Workers are directed to stay at home and join in the picketing exercise. We wish to call on Nigerians to understand the circumstances we are operating in. People will be telling you the political situation. The political situation is self-inflicted, and the economic situation is worse than the political situation because people cannot eat. Workers can no longer go to office, and nothing is happening.
The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has filed a petition to challenge the declaration of Bola Tinubu, candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as the winner of the presidential election. The petition was filed before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on Tuesday. In the petition filed through his team of lawyers led by Joe Gazama, Atiku claimed that Tinubu was not qualified to contest the election. He submitted that Tinubu's declaration as the winner of the poll was invalid by reason of non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. Atiku prayed the court to declare him the winner, having secured the second highest number of lawful votes at the polls. Well, to shed more light on the electoral petitions, legal expert and political affairs analyst Evan Tufeli joins me now. Thank you as always for your time. Now, the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has hinged his petition on his claim that the president-elect is not qualified to contest the election. What's your take on this? Now, Atiku has hinged his petition that the president-elect basically is not, eligible to contest the election. What's your thought on this?
Hello, can you repeat the question, please?
Now, if you can hear me, Ifeli, I was asking you what you make of the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar's petition, which has claimed that President-elect that Tinubu is not qualified to contest the election. What's your take on this?
Yeah, the truth is that you cannot actually outrightly talk about the content of a matter before the courts. But what we can say is that the party in question have a right to go to court and hit their grievances because they cannot take the laws into their own hands. But ultimately, the courts will decide whether or not the petition is meritorious. So it is not the law that people should go into the details of the petition of a party to discuss it extensively and then make postures and make suggestions as to how the petition is or what the outcome should become when there is a court already that is looking into the matter. So by and large, I can talk about the fact that the Electoral Act clearly and expressly say that anybody who contests election have a right to bring an action in court to contest the outcome of the elections. Okay? And by the stipulation of law, the PDPs were within that frame. They had a candidate who contested the election, who is they thereby agree of the outcome, and who has brought a petition before the court. To that extent, you can say that. And the fact that the prayers, what they're asking the court to grant them are within the confines of what the law has said. But as to what will be the outcome, or as to the details of the petition, and to discuss that when we have a court already that is the umpire in the process, it is not the law that you should talk to that extent.
Now, if a further appeal goes to the Supreme Court, how long will the Supreme Court have to dispense the case?
See, that is the tribunal for that of the presidential election have 180 days within which to determine this suit. And that 180 days in Celestino Meyer was Amechi and INEC, the Supreme Court said the 180 days cannot be elongated, cannot be moved further. It's like the rock of Gibraltar that cannot be moved. That within 180 days, the Court of Appeal must give judgment in that matter. So we are looking at 180 days from now. Then when it gets to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court has 60 days on appeal to determine the matter. So if you check 180 days plus 60 days, you put them together, you have a figure of the duration for which this petition will last.
And Tufeli, many thanks for your insight. Well, still on election matters, the U.S. mission in Nigeria has condemned the disturbing acts of violence, voter intimidation and suppression that marred last Saturday's governorship polls. In a statement published on its website on Tuesday, the mission described the use of ethnic rhetoric before, during and after the governorship election in Lagos as particularly concerning. It added that the United States likewise will consider all available actions, including additional visa restrictions on individuals believed to be responsible for or complicit in undermining the democratic process in Nigeria. The mission, however, commended all Nigerian political actors, religious and community leaders, as well as youths and citizens who rejected and condemned such violence, affirming Nigerians' commitment to and respect for the democratic process. President Muhammadu Buhari has hailed the conduct of the 2023 elections, describing it as credible while regretting that some candidates lost in the exercise. Buhari made the comment while speaking at a farewell meeting with the outgoing United States Ambassador Mary Beth Leonard at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday. President Buhari also commended the outgoing ambassador for the enormous achievements recorded in Nigeria-U.S. relations in the 3.5 years she has been here. In her remarks, the American ambassador expressed her gratitude and that of the U.S. government for the continued role of President Buhari in ensuring regional security and strengthening of democracy as a system of government. President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated the new office of the National Security Advisor, a national counter-terrorism center to optimize efforts at addressing evolving security challenges in the country, especially terrorism and violent extremism. Speaking at the inauguration of the facilities in Abuja on Tuesday, the president said they would serve as a major legacy to provide the incoming administration with infrastructure to effectively coordinate national security and counter-terrorism efforts. Our correspondent Simisola Adigun has more details in this report.
From kidnapping to extremist insurgencies, Nigeria has been faced with an unprecedented wave of overlapping security crises in the last 10 years. To optimize efforts at addressing these evolving challenges in the country, the federal government has set up this new office of the National Security Advisor and National Counter-Terrorism Center. Speaking at the inauguration of the two state-of-the-art facilities, President Muhammadu Buhari says the structures are symbols of his administration's firm commitment towards ensuring national security according to highest global standards.
The secure and high-tech nature of these offices are designed to enhance our strategic response to a broad range of current and emerging security concerns. This is because we live in an interconnected world and therefore must be able to face and respond to both domestic and global security challenges.
The president also outlined significant milestones achieved by his administration on national security, including gains in combating terrorism, armed banditry, kidnapping, crude oil theft, and cyber security.
The regular briefs of all cybercrime advisory council meetings I receive further highlight the importance of protecting our cyberspace from all forms of intrusion. To further complement these efforts, I will soon be endorsing the presidential order for the designation and protection of critical national information infrastructure.
In his welcome address, the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, said the dynamic nature of the global and domestic security environment necessitated the modification and expansion of some of the functions of the ONSA.
A key outfit that will be housed in this main office complex is the upgraded Intelligence Fusion Center, which is designed to produce threat assessments and estimates over a broad range of regional, global security issues. It is a key platform for enhancing interagency processes due to the broad representation of security agencies as well as relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government.
While commending the federal government for championing the NCTC, the UN Resident Coordinator of Nigeria, Matthias Schmal, through the Peace and Development Advisor, said the legacy will help Nigeria in the fight against domestic and regional security challenges.
The establishment of multi-agency screening processes, the trial of multiple terrorist suspects, and the development of federal and state rehabilitation and reintegration programs. Mr. President and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we all know that it takes kinetic and non-kinetic responses to end terrorism. The fact that almost 80,000 persons have surrendered to authorities in the Northeast since May of 2021 represents a real opportunity to shift the dynamic.
Schmal also pledged that the UN will continue to be a strong partner and supporter of Nigeria's efforts to address the issues of insecurity and terrorism. Semisola Adigun, TV360, Lagos.
Senator representing Kano North Senatorial District, Barral Jibrin, has declared his intention to contest for the post of Senate President for the 10th National Assembly. Senator Jibrin, while speaking with reporters, described himself as the most ranking and experienced among senators-elect seeking to lead the next Senate. He also dismissed recourse to religious sentiments by some aspirants as criteria for electing the next Senate President rather than on competence.
And it's clear in the standard rules that aspiration or election for the office of the Senate presidency shall be in accordance with ranking. And amongst those who are seeking to acquire that office as we speak, I have the highest ranking. So it's constitutional. Among those who are aspiring, who have shown their intentions, who are aspiring, I am the one that is most experienced. The issue is that of competence. It's competence. You need to be grounded in the procedure of legislation before you are able to be the president of the Senate. The rules and regulations of how we do our activities here, you need to be knowledgeable in them, you need to be grounded, and that's the tradition all over the world. Not what deserve to be given the Senate presidency, because we gave the president the highest votes. And we want our president to go for second term after this election. After this one, we want him to go for second term because we saw what he did in Lagos, transformed Lagos to become an economic Eldorado. So we want it to replicate that here in Nigeria, replicate that for the entire country. And he was able to do that when he served 2 terms.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Federal government places order for 25,000 metric tons of wheat from Ukraine despite war. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of our top stories tonight. The Labour Party gubernatorial candidate Alex Oti has been declared winner of the Abia State governorship election. The returning officer for the state and vice chancellor of Federal University of Technology FUTO, Inina Oti, declared him winner 48 hours after the collation of election results was postponed. Oti polled 175,467 votes, beating Oke Ahiwe, Abia PDP governorship candidates, who got a total of 88,529 votes. We also told you that the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress has directed all workers to protest at the offices of the Central Bank of Nigeria nationwide, starting next week following the lingering naira scarcity across the country. The NLC President Joe Ajaero gave the directive at a press briefing at the Labour House in Abuja. A study directive became imperative following the expiration of a 1-week ultimatum given to the Apex Bank to make cash available for all Nigerians. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. Cases of a dangerous fungus, the Candida auris, has tripled in the United States in just over 3 years, with more than half of states reporting it. Health officials have said the fast spread was likely driven by the coronavirus pandemic. Many of the first U.S. cases were infections that had been imported from abroad, but now most infections are spread within. In the paper by researchers at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, hospital workers were strained by coronavirus patients, which likely shifted their focus away from disinfectants and other kinds of germs. The fungus, Candida auris, is a form of yeast which can be a deadly risk to fragile hospital and nursing home patients and spreads easily and can infect wounds, ears and the bloodstream. We'll take another break and be back with more stories and business. To stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Mary Kanu joins us now for more updates in the world of business. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you, Falashade. Helen, welcome to Business News. Nigeria is expecting no less than 25,000 metric tons of wheat from war-torn Ukraine, despite the war that has ravaged the country. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Abubakar, made a disclosure on Wednesday after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The minister further disclosed that beyond the wheat imports, Nigeria is also expecting an unspecified quantity of potassium from Russia, which is a byproduct for the production of fertilizer in the country.
Nigeria every year holds summit that we call Seed Connect. This is an international summit that discusses and focuses on improvement, development in seeds from around the globe. So seeds is really very important, very critical. As you all know, the agri sector forms a great part of the GDP of this country. And of that, we focus on smallholder farmers. Someone will wonder, how do they get good quality seed? We make sure they are priority. We distribute good quality seeds to them free. We make sure any seed that is coming into the country also is subjected to the standardization. We have a system that is called Codex, and we make sure all seeds that will be taken to the market have this Codex. They have gone through our screening. And this is the purpose of this policy, to make better seeds and to achieve food security. Unless you have good yielding seeds, you will not be able to achieve the food security you want. And Nigeria, with 200 million people plus and counting, we need to make sure we're on top of our game in terms of the quality of seeds of any kind of produce in this country.
We'll take a break now and return with stock market report. The raising of the monetary policy rate by 50 basis points to 18% by the Central Bank of Nigeria on Tuesday did not deter the Nigerian stock market from closing in the green territory. The Nigerian Exchange Group reached a new high, rising by 0.06% as more investors stayed on the buy side of the bourse, with market capitalization appreciating by 18 billion naira. The equities market recorded its second gain this week, driven by stocks like GTCO and WAPIG, as both equities led the gainers league after its share price gained combined 61 kobo. At the close of trading, investors transacted 134 million volume of shares worth 1.3 billion naira in 2,479 deals. Let's now see how some global stocks are faring. A look at the slide here shows it's clearly a mixed trading day, as we see only the U.S. stock Dow Jones trading down ahead of the Federal Reserve's rate hike decision and Fed Chair Jerome Powell's subsequent comments. And that's why we consider the market is down at 0.12%. Now that's all on stock market report. Falashade, back to you.
Well, many thanks, Mary, for that update. And on the foreign scene, Tanzania has confirmed 8 cases of Marburg, the first ever outbreak in the country. According to the World Health Organization, the confirmation followed the death of 5 people in the northwest Kagera region who developed symptoms, including fever, vomiting, bleeding, and renal failure. The 3 who survived were getting treatment, with 161 contacts being monitored. The WHO has intensified surveillance in the Central African nation, deploying health emergency experts in epidemiology, case management, infection prevention, laboratory and risk communication to boost the country's response. Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on Guinea-Bissau in a 2023 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON doubleheader qualifiers on Friday, March the 24th at the Abuja National Stadium and Monday, March 27th at the Estadio 24 in Bissau. Coach Jose Pesaro, who had already named a 23-man squad to take on Guinea-Bissau in the 2023 AFCON qualifier doubleheader, shows that the team is fully ready to take on their opponent and is confident of victory. The Super Eagles currently top the AFCON qualifier Group A standings with 6 points from 2 games, while Guinea-Bissau sits in second position with 4 points from the same number of games.
If I want to win the friend match, we choose other teams. For fans, will be good. Okay? Or should better. Why? Because you play one no big team, you beat them, everybody is happy. Sure. But I think you can improve more if you play against big teams than against other teams.
I'm really happy to be here. I've been thinking about this game since the very last game I played for my club, and this game is really important, the most important in Super Eagles at the moment, and we want to win this game. But of course, we have a huge respect for our opponent, and then the squad has been really working so hard. We have been studying them, although we don't know anyone among them. But of course, we have a good squad because they are second in the ranking. And then I think for me, I think we have a huge chance to get the win on Friday. But we won't be able to do this without working so hard on the pitch and giving our all. And I think the squad is ready.
Well, first we need to make sure we qualify, but yeah, everybody's not just me. There's a lot of players in great form, so it's even a headache. I don't know what the manager's going to do with his selection, but no matter who he plays, there's a lot of quality in this team, and going forward we can do well. So hopefully we'll qualify first, and then we'll take it step by step.
It's 90 minutes to decide who will win. But one thing I'm sure is that I haven't lost in Abuja Stadium before, so I don't think I can lose. I don't think I can lose on Friday because it's Guinea-Bissau, because they said, oh, they're going to win. But I think I believe in my team also, and the coach believes in us. I think if we have our fans on Friday, like the way we have them against Ghana, although it was a disappointing outing, but I think on Friday we're going to surprise them also. I'm going to say we're going to win.
And it's a wrap on our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.
What we're having here today, the theme of the exhibition is wet in waste. That is, what are the waste you can get from waste product, that is coconut shell. So, and the reason why we are saying wet in waste is that we have so many processors around. We have people that use coconut for their products, like coconut oil, coconut candy, coconut flakes. The name has so many. But what do they do to the shell? Nothing. So if you eat coconut, the shells, you throw it off. But some of them, they use it for making fire, fueling their fire while cooking. But that can cause environmental pollution. So we are using this now to tell a story that, okay, instead of destroying the environment, why don't you get the wet that is involved? Instead of throwing it to block our drainages, why don't you turn it to a wet making machine? So that is just the short story behind the wet in waste. aside from that, it is unique and nobody is using it for anything. When I started, I didn't see anybody that is doing anything like installations like this. In fact, when I Google online, what I saw were craft works, cups, key holders, and the rest of them. But I started doing this just to give myself a unique name from others. The response has been very, very good. Though initially when I started, people were like, what type of thing is this? They gave me so many names. Sometimes if I stretch my hand to greet some people, they will say, your hand is too tough, blah, blah, blah. But today now the rest is story. And initially the acceptance was not there. I was giving my souvenirs to people free of charge. But now I sell them at good prices. The funny thing about the Circle of Nigerian Coconut Artists is that we started in February. The dream just came, okay, why don't you bring these people that are doing coconut craft together? I have some of them who are my participants that I've trained over time during workshops. So, and some of them, they don't practice the craft again, because the challenges are there for them. How do they sell their craft works? Who do they sell to? And the challenges of how do you cut, how do you remove the debris and the rest of them. So many challenges. But the basic one is, if they produce it and they don't sell, they stop producing. So we are using this now to create a kind of platform for them, so that they can showcase their work. You can see different stands here. You can see different tables with different type of artworks, even this. So they now have a platform where they can exhibit the works. When visitors come around, they see, and with that, they will be encouraged to do more. So that is the story behind this. What we do is we'll cut the shells. When you cut the shells, you remove the debris, you sand it in and out and cut the shapes you want. Then is going for young ones around so that they can join us in removing